Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and welcome to the final press conference as we get set for heavy-duty championship boxing this Saturday at O2 Arena here in London. And it is all being brought to you by Frank Warren on behalf of Queensberry Promotions, along with their great sponsors, 32 Red and Foot Asylum. Well, if you can't join us at the arena, it will be televised at 7:30 p.m. local time on BT Sport and in the United States on ESPN+. Tickets are still available. They can be purchased through AXS.com or at the O2 Arena box office. Well, at this time, I'm going to hand things over to the host of today's press conference, Mr. John Rawling.
Thank you very much indeed. And thank you very much, everybody, for being here today for a fight which, well, so far as I'm concerned, it's one of those fights that you really want to see. I love a fight where you go along and as a commentator or somebody who follows it, you really don't know what's going to happen. You don't know who's going to emerge victorious. And for me, that's what makes this one so special. And your promoter, of course, is Frank Warren.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for joining us. It is a special fight. You know, it's two young gladiators, two of the best young prospects in the world, and they're lacing them up on Saturday. One's 11-0, 10 knockouts, and the other one's 16-0 with 11 knockouts. So they're both good punchers, they're both good boxers, and I think we're going to see something special. I've read a lot about the styles of the fighters and so forth, but I think the styles in this fight will make it a great fight for the fans.
It's one which stands comparison with some of the terrific heavyweight battles of the past as well, and it has all the makings of one which I think in years to come we could very well be looking back at and saying this was a very special night.
We can. I mean, there's no doubt about that. I think the winner will go on in the next 12 months and probably have another 4 or 5 fights and probably put himself in a position of being a mandatory challenger for one of the belts. So there's a lot at stake here for the winner.
And of course, on the undercard, another pretty tasty heavyweight battle as well. You ought to maybe just mention that one as well. Joe Joyce and Bryant Jennings before we move on.
We're promoting that fight in association with Ring Star Richard Schaefer, and Joe, who's having his 10th fight on Saturday, he's fighting Bryant Jennings, who's a former world title challenger. I think recently he was in the ring with Reavers, who's fighting Dillian White the following Saturday, and was winning that fight going into the 12th round till he got clipped. So it's I think it's a big step up for Joe Joyce after 9 professional fights. He's got a wealth of amateur experience, but as we all know, the amateurs and the pros are totally different things.
Right, well, let's hear from the lads who are involved on Saturday night. I've got Nathan and Ricky Hatton to my left and Daniel and Martin Bowers, trainer, to my right. And we'll start off with the voice from Manchester, Ricky Hatton. Tell us about the preparations, because it's been an interesting one for Nathan.
He's had been a bit tricky, to say the least. As you're aware, at the start of the training camp, Nathan's 2-year-old son had to have a cyst removed from his chest, which we was all extremely worried about. But obviously, that he's come through that, and that's fantastic now. And recently, he's just had another baby little girl on Monday. But it was, believe it or not, it should have been due Saturday. So thank God he had it Monday. So but yeah, training camp's gone really, really well. He's in great shape, and as a trainer, I don't need to speak for Nathan. He's been looking forward to this for a while. But I mean, for me, these are, and I think I speak for Martin as well, these are fights you want to be involved in, and I'm sure it's the same with Daniel. For Daniel, these are the lads you want to train. It's our job as trainers and the managers and everything like that. When a fight's like this to put forward, it's us for us to say, "Oh, hang on a minute," but there was no hesitation in Nathan, and those are the fighters you want to train.
Why is there that certainty? Why has he always wanted this fight? I mean, we'll hear from Nathan in a moment, but from a third party perspective, is it true that almost from word go he's been saying, "Get me him"?
Well, he he wanted this fight before he even met me. Do you know what I mean? And the first time I asked him, I said, "What do you think?" Because obviously you talk about future possible opponents, don't you? You know, we talk about, a fight with Joe Joyce. You talk about a fight with Daniel. And the first time I asked him, "What do you think about Daniel?" I thought he was going to chin me. And I don't know what's gone on in history and everything like that. Long time ago. But I think it's. I mean, obviously, both the lads dream of becoming world champion one day. But I think he's just always wanted this fight, and you can see he's always trained hard, he's always worked hard, but he's had an extra spring in his step, an extra little nastiness in his approach to this fight, and he always prepares 100%. But this one, he's put his foot down even further, no stone unturned, and it's been. I'm sure we always sit here and say the same thing, don't we, before every fight? He's had a great training camp, but honestly, it couldn't have gone any better.
We'll have a bit more from Ricky and Nathan in a moment, but now Martin Bowers, who's been training Daniel throughout his career. You heard there that they kind of knew from word go that somewhere down the line Daniel was going to be there. What about Nathan, from your perspective? Did you always realise that was going to happen?
I think we always thought that was going to happen, and obviously we didn't prepare for it until we actually got the fight and it was signed. So, yeah.
So how's he looking?
He's looking bang on.
Man of few words, isn't he?
He is.
How do you psych him up? Does he need psyching up?
To be fair, we don't need to psych him up. He's a consummate pro. He's always ready. He's always, willing to do whatever's got to be done.
Nathan's a good talker. Ricky's a good talker. You're kind of the
We're probably a little bit more
silent
reserved. We're probably a little bit more reserved, but everything they've said has been spot on. I mean, we knew that we'd cross this bridge sooner or later.
Tell us about working with Daniel. What sort of a fighter he is to be associated with?
Well, it's great to be associated with him. As you can see, he's a great athlete. He always puts the work in. But just as important, he has the days off, and we haven't left this in the gym. We're going to be ready and prepared. I'm sure Nathan and Ricky's team will be as well. So I think it's going to be a great fight. If I was a fan, I'd be excited.
A lot of people are saying Daniel's power, Nathan's movement, boxing skills. Do you see it that way, or is it more than that?
No, I mean, you can only read into it what we've seen in the fight so far, and obviously that's what plays out. But I think there's a lot more to both their games. I don't think Nathan hasn't got any power, and I don't think Daniel can't box. So I think it's going to be very interesting. I mean, I'd be glued to the telly.
Or buying a ticket to be there.
Or buying a ticket.
Ricky's alluded to the fact that things might have gone on in the past and that they're not exactly bosom buddies. What do you reckon so far as Daniel's concerned?
To be fair, we've never ever spoken that, so...
Literally?
No. We're focusing on one thing, going forward. That's it.
As a professional in your gym, what's the guy's work ethic like? How does he apply himself to the skills that you're trying to put into him?
Well, he's very diligent. I think like most professional fighters, they actually all put the work in. I'm not going to say he works harder than anybody else, but he's always on time. Does everything you ask.
And so far as you as a trainer is concerned, some people have already said to me, they've said it to me here today, is it going to be a factor that somebody who's been there and done it at the highest level as a fighter, as Ricky has, is that going to play out to Nathan's advantage?
No, I don't believe so. I think Ricky's not in the ring, with all due respect to Ricky, who I've watched and loved his career and enjoyed it. This is two different boys. They're on two different missions.
And you've been associated with some decent fighters yourself.
Yeah, well, luckily enough, I have. But, this is a different time and it's a different fight. I think we've got two really good athletes who are going to go for it. And I think it's a credit to British boxing, but more so I think it's a credit to the two boys. And I think whoever does win will be a champion.
Frank,
and again, I don't think the one who loses won't be a champion.
Before we hear from the two fighters, I mean, these are two guys as trainers who've done terrific work with these lads.
Well, they have. Their resumes speak for themselves. They are in respectively two excellent trainers, and you as a promoter, they're the sort of guys you want fighters to be with because they, as you said, they know what they're doing and they're resolute. Having said that, come Saturday night, they'll both be stepping down. and these two guys are going to be in the ring. It's going to be about them two. All the preparation's done now. They've done all their sparring, they've done all their hard work, all the stuff that happens as amateurs. It's all irrelevant because this is professional. This is on Saturday night. This is these two just facing off, and I think you're going to see something special. You only got to look at them. Look, you know, they're in magnificent shape. They're both, you know, mentally are there. They're different type of characters. You know, Daniel's more introvert than Nathan is. But at the end of the day, it's, as I say, it's all on Saturday night. All that all goes out the window. Everything goes out the window. Once that first bell goes, it's going to be who can stick to their game plan. Because they both got I'm sure they both see weaknesses in each other, but who can stick to that game plan? Who can be the most resolute, and whose style is going to eventually win the fight for them? And I read a lot into it, the way they talk about, you know, Nathan's a good boxer. He is a good boxer. He's a good puncher as well. He's a good puncher. Very good puncher. And he's got great lateral movement. And I look at Daniel, who's obviously you look at his resume again, he's a big puncher, but he can box. He's got a great jab. Throws great, nice long shots. So this is going to be something, I really do feel this is going to be a special night for British heavyweight boxing, or British boxing. It's going to be something great.
Well, let's hear from the two lads. And Nathan, first of all, congratulations on the arrival of little daughter and baby number 2.
Yeah, thank you, John. Yeah, she's a little bundle of joy. You know, thankfully I was here to see her, you know, born. Like Ricky said, she was due to be on Saturday on the fight night, so I was hoping and praying for her to come early.
I nearly had a baby myself.
So I was hoping and praying for her to come early, and you know, thankfully it did. She come early hours Tuesday morning at 5 a.m, so I was with her for a couple of hours, and I shot up here now. So hopefully let's round the week off really good and win the British title.
Daniel congratulates you on that. He was telling me, he said he hopes she's keeping you up all night.
That actually does sort of pave the way for a serious question. You know, we'd heard Ricky talking about your little son Nathan not being well earlier in the training camp, and now having become a dad again. How much of a distraction has this all been?
Oh, obviously at the first beginning with me little boy, you know, when we found out he had this cyst tumour on his chest. It was 10 weeks out. I only took 2 days off, you know, to get him operated and stuff. I was still training, you know, even at the hospital, I was running around the car park and stuff. So my mind was still on the job. And obviously, with giving birth to my second born, my wife's looking after everything, you know. So I'm up here, I've got a job to do. My mind's fully focused on Saturday night. There's no distractions. Like I've said numerous occasions before, John, you know, there's no excuses when I've walked out into that arena. Every run's been run, every session's been done, you know what I mean? There's no stone unturned. I'm fully fit and ready to go.
You look physically in great nick, but mentally are you absolutely on it?
100%, definitely. Never been so fully on something in my life than this one.
So what sort of a fight can we anticipate so far as you're concerned on Saturday night?
I think the people are in for a great fight. You know, I think our styles can clash really, really well. Like Frank was saying before, you know, Daniel's style and my style, I think when we meet into the centre of the ring, I think we're in for a big night.
Daniel, you've heard Nathan and his problems, if you like, in the build-up to this. What about your run-up to the fight? How's your preparations gone?
Preparation's gone well. It's been weeks and weeks of hard training, hard sparring, and I'm glad it's finally over now. We can finally get it on.
Have you enjoyed being at the centre of a fight that people are speculating about, are talking about? You know, you only need to go on Twitter and see that people are really into this fight, and everybody has their opinions. First time you've really been in a fight like that. How's it felt?
It's good, you know, having more spotlight on the fight, and me being the main event. It's new, so it's good, and it's something I look forward to.
And what sort of a fight do you think we can look forward to?
I know I'm going to do. I'm going to come out first round, just fast, sharp, you know, just put all together what I've learned, the years from the amateurs to now, what I've learned and what I've picked up in my career so far. I'm just going to put it all on the line. You've
had all those. Have you any idea how many rounds you might have sparred with Nathan in the past, back in the old GB squad days?
No.
You any idea how many it would be, Nathan?
A lot, John. But on the other hand, it's 3 years ago. You know, there's a lot of water under the bridge then. You know what I mean? Obviously, mentally, you can pick things off them spars, but like Frank said, this is amateur and this is professional. It's a different ball game. And obviously, with the 10-ounce gloves on in front of all them thousands of people, it's a big, massive fight. The pressure's on.
How do you think that it's going to be different now, Daniel? You know, I mean, you've heard in previous press conferences Nathan saying that he was 2 years older than you and that he had the better of those spars. How do you think it's going to be different now, and how's the professional game different to those days with the squad?
It's a big difference. That was sparring, and this is a fight. You know, any fighter would tell you there's a massive difference between sparring and fighting. And on Saturday, I'm gonna put it all on the line, and I'm gonna, you know, go in there, you know, focus and just do my job.
How did you used to get on back in those days?
You know, I'm a cool guy. I just mind my own business. I was really just up there, just seeing where it would lead to. It's been a journey so far, so it was all just experience for me.
How does it feel seeing him here now 2 days before, knowing that this is the fella who potentially can derail all the well-honed preparations and plans of the last couple of years?
There's no worries. There's no worries at all. I've worked too hard, and I've put in a lot of work in the gym. I've listened, you know, to the team and everyone around me, and I'm just ready to put it all on the line now.
So what can he expect? Is it going to be another knockout so far as you're concerned?
Definitely, the opportunity is there. I'm going for the knockout.
Nathan, that's his opinion of how it's going to go and what he thinks.
Yep.
How do you remember those 2, 3, 4 years ago when you were back sparring as an amateur? Did you get on with him?
Obviously, Will's two rivals, so we could never be best friends, could we? I knew for a certain fact, minute we met, you know, he was in the same category as me. I thought we can't be pally. But on the other hand, you know, we're completely different personalities, so we're not going to be best buddies. But referring to the sparring, you know, I felt like I never lost around. But that's then, and this is now. You know, it all comes down to Saturday night.
So Saturday night, then. You've heard his opinion of what he reckons is going to happen. I mean, this is we're going to be seeing him at the weigh-in tomorrow, but 2 days away. What can Daniel anticipate from you?
Whatever he's got, John, to be honest with you, know, we got the answer for. I've been through hell and back in training camp. I've put everything what I've done, you know, has been perfect. So whatever he's got, you know, I've got the answer for on my behalf. The knockouts there, I'm also going to go for it. If it goes 12 rounds, I'm more than fit enough to do 12 rounds. You know, I can box that high pace, slow pace, whatever pace he wants to go at. You know, I'm fully prepared and ready to do the job on Saturday.
Ricky, is it the old boxing adage of you know, movement, hit and don't be hit, so far as Nathan's concerned?
A little bit. I think you know, it's seen, as we mentioned earlier, you know, probably the fighter versus the boxer type thing. But you know, he's a Gorman. He's in the genes. He can fight, and you know, when someone makes him fight, that's when he does. You know, a couple of times, you know, where he's been winning easy enough on points against people that are looking to survive. But when anyone's put it on him, whether it be sparring or fighting, he's not found wanting, and he's going to have to do that on. You know, he's going to have to do that on. I mean, we're preparing for the toughest fight of our life. You know, it goes without saying. We say it's the boxer versus the fighter, but I mean, Daniel's obviously got boxing ability. He was in the GB squad. You know, you don't get in the GB squad if you haven't got boxing ability. So we're not stupid, just like, you know, the opposition are. You know, we know it's going to be a very tough fight. But I mean, you know, when I was a fighter, you know, I never opened my mouth to sell tickets. I never said anything disrespectful to the opposition. I never said anything in order to worry the opposition. You know what I mean? I've said it straight as it is, and you know, nothing's changed as a trainer. I just stay honest, and it's not being disrespectful or anything like that. I think he's the winner. And I don't talk rubbish. You know, I never have done.
We've seen film which has been released of you training Nathan and Tyson Fury being there at ringside, shouting encouragement and giving some tips. How important, you know, I mean, probably a question for both of you, how important has Tyson's influence been in moving towards this night?
I think it's been fantastic having him in my gym, and they're related, Nathan and Tyson. I mean, it's fantastic to have someone like Tyson in the gym. To see him how he performs in training, and to talk and to pick each other's brains. That goes without saying. I mean, it's a great gym to be in. I think when you're training around quality fighters. I remember when I first turned professional, in my gym there was Carl Thompson, Ensley Bingham, Steve Foster, Paul Burke, Andy Holligan, just to name a few. And just being around them every day, it raises your, a game, but the top and bottom of it, we can talk about the advice and the preparation that he's had and everything like that. Tyson won't get in the ring with him, I won't get in the ring with him, all them fighters, great fighters he's working with in the gym. Joe Saunders has been in our gym. All of us jump out, and then it's left with him and Daniel, and it's up to him, to take the information that we've given him and put it to practice.
Martin, tell us about some of the people who Daniel's had around in the run-up to this in your gym. I mean, a lot made of Tyson Fury. What about influences on Daniel?
Well, influences on Daniel. Obviously, we had Frank Bruno come to the gym, but I don't think, as Ricky said, I don't think that's going to make any difference on the night. They're going to do...
Lennox has been talking to you.
Yeah, Lennox has been there and all, but I don't think that's going to make any difference. He's took the information on board. He's worked very hard. That's it. We're ready and prepared. He's ready and prepared. It's going to come down to Nathan and Daniel.
Daniel, tell us.
And I believe we've got the man.
Tell us just a little bit about what I mean, Frank came down to the gym and was with you, and Frank telling me that Lennox Lewis has been in touch as well. Tell me a little bit about what they've had to say to you.
Well, Frank, he came down. He's gave me a few tips, and I'm not gonna go into it, but he came down and it was good seeing a guy that's been there and done it, and he's had the wars, and he's an old gladiator, to say, and it was good having him around, going on the pads and having him move around and stuff like that. And obviously Lennox as well. It's no big deal, coming down to it, it's all down to me. I'm the one that's going to be in the ring, and putting on the gloves and going out there and winning the fight. So it's all on me.
How much do you admire those two guys and see them as sort of role models, people who you'd aspire to be in the future?
I always look back on them two careers. There was had a big influence on my dad as well, and I always look back on them, and I'm always reminded about them. So it's constantly in my mind.
It's funny. They both come from fighting families. You think of his sister and brothers. Yeah. Same with Nathan. They got boxing in their blood. That's what they are. These are true fighters.
It's going to be a special one, and I don't think that we're going to hear too much bad mouthing from the two lads about
as much as you try. It's not going to happen. They've got respect for each other. You don't have to throw tables over and jump about to create a good fight. These guys are good fighters. They don't need to sell themselves. And you're going to see something special on Saturday. So just be there, watch it. Don't blink, because I think you're going to see some serious fireworks. Yeah,
watch it on BT Sport if you can't buy a ticket and be there. Let's just open it up to the floor now. You've got all the lads here, trainers and fighters. Any questions before we go to the head-to-heads? Shout them up, please. Anybody?
Daniel, who have you been sparring with?
I've done a few rounds with Martin Bacoli. I hired him for about 2 weeks, and just amateurs and a few amateurs that come in, a few amateur heavyweights, and so Lawrence Sokoli. So I've had good sparring.
Daniel, why do you claim Nathan Gorman would be the easiest fight of your career?
I'll show you on the night.
Nathan, what do you make of players that Daniel saying he'd be the easiest fight of your career?
Listen, time will tell, won't it? We'll find out. We've got 2 more sleeps. Time will tell exactly.
Do you think you'll ever be friends? You see so many boxers after they fought, become friends after. Look at H's all now.
Yeah. You don't know in boxing, do you? Never say never, but at this moment in time, I'm sure you will agree, we want to kill each other. So Never say never, but time will tell.
Not quite. But listen, again, if it's such a great fight, it's a rematch, who knows what it could be a trilogy, who knows what's going to
One thing for certain, the respect will be there, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's always the case when you
they're-
share the ring.
they're
with them.
respectful, and
That's what it's all about.
proper good guy. And it's not the end of the world for the loser. You know, think about it. Similar situation again. We talked about Tyson, Derek Chisora. Derek Chisora went on and had how many title fights after that? You look at
James DeGale and George Groves.
George Groves, both of them went on to win world titles. So at this stage of the game, it's a fight that they'll learn from as well. And they're young men, and the loser can come again.